Welcome back to Things of Gold, a Snarky Puppy podcast by Storm Sound and Osiris Media. My name is Ryan Storm.
And I'm Megan Glyona.
And we're back. Usual intro. This is, again, I like breaking the fourth wall every time we record this. We're recording this approximately 12 hours before this will be released on all streaming services. This is great. We've both been, busier for different reasons over the last couple of weeks. We're here and we're recording, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I feel like we were really ahead and recording them way ahead of time. And then life just got busy, and here we are. Yeah.
We were really ahead, and then I went on Goose Tour for 2 weeks.
Yeah, there you go. And I was just sitting around doing nothing, just waiting for you to get back from Goose Tour. No, but I'm excited. Now we're kind of caught up in real life. It's like real time now.
Yeah, we can talk about current Snarky Puppy events, which is at the time of this release, the day of this release, they will be playing their last show of their South American tour, which has looked to be pretty cool from a distance. Cool looking lineup, and of course they kick off again in the U.S., play a couple of shows on the West Coast, and then some East Coasty, New York State kind of stuff, and then they play in Toronto at the end of June.
All for you.
Very
it's
excited.
All for you, Ryan.
Listen, Megan, I said this to you before we hit record, but I don't get to see like any concerts where I get to sleep in my own bed afterwards. So that is very exciting that I get to see Snarky Puppy and then sleep in my own bed.
I know. It's a really good feeling. I get it all the time, but I'm happy for you.
Yeah, Mrs. I live in New York and everybody plays in New York all the time. And
there's a reason
border.
I wanted to live here,
Yeah, well, anyway. We've got a great show to talk about today. Of course, we are continuing on in spring 2017, our second show of the Culture Vulture era. This one, we've got a different lineup than the last episode. Our lineup for today, brief overview. We've got Chris Bullock, of course, Mike Mazmaher, of course, Justin Stanton, Bobby Sparks making his debut on organ, clav, minimoog, and motif, which I want to talk about in a minute. Zach Brock also making his debut on the violin, Bob Lanzetti on guitar, Michael League on bass, Larnell Lewis on drums, and Nate Worth on percussion. Bobby's credited as organ, clav, minimoog, and motif, and he had a motif for a lot of the touring in 2017. I have never once heard or see him play it with Snarky Puppy. I've seen videos of him playing this keyboard elsewhere, but it was gone from his Snarky Puppy rig after 2017, and I swear I've never heard him or seen him play it with them. If anyone has any proof that he did, send it to me because I'm curious.
That'd be amazing. I feel like the introduction of Bobby Sparks and Zach Brock is huge, the impact on the sound. Absolutely huge. And I'm so excited because I absolutely loved this show. I loved seeing Zach when I was in New York. And I just feel like the energy and the emotion that he brings to a show is incredible. And Bobby is just absolutely destroys in this show. Yeah.
This is cool also because, this is a very different Bobby than we'll see once he starts touring with the whammy clav in 2019. In 2017 here, there's no whammy bar. He's got some effects on the clav. But there's a lot more organ and a lot more moog from him than we'll start seeing in 2019 once he gets that whammy bar. Because as we know, as Snarky Puppy fans, Bobby Sparks does love him some whammy.
Whatever he wants to do, I'm on board for it.
And yes, and I'm very happy to say that this is the first episode with clav tweet in it. Popped up a couple of times in my notes. So excited about that. But before we dive in, we've got, of course, Meg's Corner. I'm stealing that from your other podcast. But we are here today, May 28th, 2017, in, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation.
Wroclaw?
That's definitely, there's no way that's how you pronounce it. Polish.
No, but I don't know Polish, so I'm just going to say it like that.
Right? No?
Wroclaw?
Wroclaw.
Wow.
Wroclaw, Poland.
Nice job.
And you did some very nice research at this venue.
Yeah, so they're playing at the National Forum of Music, which I am not going to attempt to say in Polish because we've just proven that I'm very bad at it.
Google Translate.
I have no idea, but it's a music venue and it was completed in 2015 and it houses a really huge concert hall with 1,800 seats. And then it also has 3 chamber halls that are smaller, like 250 to 450 seats. And it seems like they have lots of like philharmonics and ensembles that play there and also lots of festivals. And it looks like a really cool place. It's not that old. So it looks very modern and it seems like it's a really great place to play. And really like one of the more modern music venues in Poland.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like a lot of the venues that they play in Europe, I may just also be talking out of my ass because I don't know European concert venues, but I feel like a lot of them are like much older, like philharmonic or like, orchestra
Yeah.
rooms. There aren't as many newer concert venues, which I mean, a lot of the venues that people play here in North America are like old movie theaters or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So it's cool to see like, oh, here's a new one. And also, this is another one, second venue in a row that we've seen that has like multiple rooms in it. So it's
Yeah,
cool to
exactly.
see. There. I feel like there are more of those in Europe as well.
Yeah, I was looking at where this city is too. It's like 4 hours like northwest of Prague. So it's in that kind of corner of like Prague and Vienna and not too far from Berlin. So this is a really cultured part of Europe and really neat. So I was excited. I've never been to Poland, but it kind of made me want to go.
Yeah, a lot of history there. Um, and where they are on tour, they are getting towards the end of this 10-week tour that they're on. Michael talks about it a little bit later in the show, but they're around a week and a half ish away. Actually, we're almost recording this to the day of the anniversary, so we're pretty close. I think that might be as close as we're gonna get.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is a great time period for them as well. They're probably a week or two after switching lineups. Getting Bobby and Zach and Bill and McQueen going home, etc. And so this lineup is gelling. There's a lot to dive into in this show. So let's get started
Yeah,
with this
let's get
show.
into it.
Let's get into it. So we ease in with Kite. This is an amazing Kite. This is the Zach Brock show, right out of the gate.
Totally.
First of all, this is the first time we've ever heard Zach play on this. He was not at the We Like It Here recording. He wasn't in the band in between. Um, he recorded on Tell Your Friends, and then he didn't record with the band again until Culture Vulture. Similarly, Bobby was on a couple of the earlier albums and wasn't on anything from Bring Us the Bright through Culture Vulture. So interesting to look at that. But man, this we have the first solo, which is Maz. We've heard a couple of Maz Kite solos until now, and so I really want to talk about this the Zach solo in the second
Yeah.
half of the song.
I mean,
Kite
I
is a
think
very
that
sneakily improvisational tune.
yeah, it's cool because it starts out and it's like that feeling when you're at the theater and like the curtain draws back. It slowly reveals like the set and the actors. That is what Kite is like to me. It's a perfect opener. It's gentle, it's sweeping, really orchestral. You've got the horn solo and there's like some tinny percussion behind it, some bells, the organ swells, and then Zach just comes in. This is just an unbelievably sick violin solo. Like I talked about in the intro, he has so much emotion in his playing. It is so raw. I've never heard anyone play a violin like that. He plays it just differently than I feel like the violin is often played with a smoothness and an elegance, and he
Yeah,
plays it with like this rawness and this kind of a choppiness, but not, I'm not saying that as an insult. It's just, it
right.
has this like,
There's aggression to it.
yeah, and it feels so personal and the violin is like such a dramatic instrument and he really plays it like no one I've ever heard. It's dark, it's emotional. There's like a deep bass line under this and the drums are just killing it and the solo just dissolves into total madness. I mean,
Yep.
he is able to play on the edge of falling apart in a way that is so cool.
Yeah, and we get the new guys, going at it here. Like Bobby's like prodding Zach along with the organ.
Yeah.
Some extra warbly stuff happening. There's one point where somebody makes a video game death noise. I think it's Zach. It's like a
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so cool how Kite, such a quiet tune, got like so crazy towards the end of this solo.
Yes, totally. It like really goes off the rails in like the best way.
Then we move on, getting into the culture material with Semente. This song to me is like if Tia Macaco was not a bad song. That's because of the like the more I don't want to misrepresent this, the more like world music kind of vibe, and like
Yeah.
the flute kind of leading the main melody. I love the space that they get in the solo section, and I love when it's a Rhodes solo, but pretty succinct here.
Yeah.
The Rhodes tone is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, confession, I don't really love this song. I'm just not really a fan of the flute. It's it just sounds, I don't know, I watched Anchorman too many times or something, but it just sounds like a little cheesy to me. And I just miss the kind of darkier, funkier, like soulful sound that this band gets into. So this isn't my favorite, but it
Right.
gets the job done.
Yeah, it's still a great song. And speaking of darker and funkier, Tarova is next.
Yeah, I
And
love the groove of this song.
there's dark and funk in this one.
Yeah.
This is cool because I love when there's a guitar solo on this song. I think that's like
Yeah.
the best sounding, just because it's mean, it's like
Mhm.
it's growly, it's mean, and like there's no drum breakdown on this one like we heard in the last episode. Just straight heat of Tarova. Lanzetti just ripping.
The
Ripping.
momentum in the song is incredible. It's so groovy. It just has like such a drive to it. Nate is absolutely killing it. The percussion adds so much dimension to the song. And yeah, Lenzetti's a beast. He's amazing. And you can hear Michael at the end of the song talking about how, yeah, they're almost the 10th week in of this 10-week tour and we're still alive, he says.
We're still alive.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a long time to be on tour. 10
It
weeks.
really is.
It's
It
almost
really
three
is. And
months.
also,
Yeah.
yeah, and also, playing for 10 weeks straight of like very similar material.
Yeah.
And so you can hear like also some of the shows in this area, like Strawman makes a return a few times, like around this area of the tour. There are a couple of Binkies sprinkled in. And so they start to bring back some of the older songs to mix up the set list a bit, which,
Mhm.
hi, 2023 Snarky Puppy. You
Yeah,
should do
do it.
that.
Do it.
You should do that. I was talking to someone about this earlier today, and it's like, not that I won't go and listen to 18 different versions of East Bay, but like throw in some Culture Vulture tunes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's hard. They have new stuff they wanna play, right? It's like that's what they're excited about playing, and I get it. And honestly,
And
their show just rips right now,
yeah,
so I'm
and
I'm
the,
board
the,
for it.
the new the new shit is
Empire
awesome.
stuff is good.
But
Yeah.
I'm still on the campaign for a quartermaster, and I
Hell
actually I
yeah.
realized since we recorded the last episode, I was looking at now that they busted out Skate You, like what song am I going to campaign for them to bust out next? And I realized
Mm.
that it's Bent Nails. They haven't played that
Ooh,
since the beginning of 2016.
that's a really long time.
That's a really long time. Like we when we talked about Bent Nails in episode 4 on 11/22/15, I think they played it once or twice after that, and then it hasn't been played
Wow.
since.
Well, how long had the Skate U bust out? How long was that
Beginning of
coming?
2017.
Okay, so we're not that far off.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Bent Nails. That's
Here
the
we go.
song.
You've got
Not,
it.
it's probably like a bit lower down the list of songs that I like actually want to catch live. Like Quartermaster is still
I
V1,
mean,
but
come on. It's so
I
good.
like
Yeah.
being greedy about like wanting to see a lot of songs,
Yeah.
because then it's more exciting when you get any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. That's a
Yeah.
very fish perspective, but
Yes. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, you keep a list of all the songs you're chasing, and then you cast a wide net. You're more likely to catch
exactly.
fish. So then we get into go here in the set list. My first note is "Oh the Clav," and "Oh the Clav" indeed. We get a nice Bullock solo on the first one. What I found funny during Bullock's solo, Lenzetti just turns on some heavy fuzz while he's just playing the riff of the song in the background, like underneath the sax solo. Just like, okay.
So cool. So cool. It has such a runaway train feeling, the beginning of this song. It's so great. And then the clav, he's got such a light touch to how he's playing it. It's just like he sounds like his fingers are like barely touching it. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Clav tweet indeed.
Yes.
Anybody who's listening who doesn't know that, what that means, I tweet clav tweet anytime I'm at a concert and somebody does something cool on the clav. That's all it is. It's me being
It's
a
it's
nerd about clavs.
it's really taken on a life of its own though, Ryan.
It's a lifestyle, Megan. It's a lifestyle. It's
There's
a
now even
movement.
merch. There's now
There
even merch.
is. There is. You can get your own clav tweet merch at thisisstormsound.com.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
sure
for
can.
thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, so, you can learn all about the clav tweet. There's even a video of you doing a clav tweet from
There
Goose
is.
Tour on your
There is.
Twitter.
Thank you to my mother for taking
Yeah.
that. There's a very well used GIF now of me clav tweeting.
Of you doing this. It's so good. Yeah, and then at the end of this, he moves to the organ, and it's just he gets after it. It's
Yeah, there
so good.
it's I love the way that he approaches this solo. You have the clav happening at the beginning. He's ripping it, and then he kind of half moves over, like one hand still playing clav, one hand on the organ, and
I
then
mean,
moves
how
all the way
cool is
over to the
that?
organ. Definitely a longer B section solo than normal in this song, which is awesome. Um, Great to hear this get extended a little. We love longer things. I
We
I think
do.
we both love longer things here.
We've been trained to. We're fish fans. That's what
It's true.
happens. Yeah.
Yes,
Length
yes.
does matter sometimes for us.
It's true. Length always matters. Um, Justin then takes the outro as he does on Moog. Feels great.
Yeah, this is great. And then I love how it comes into has this like spaceship feeling to it. It's just like it's great. Really nice fade out too. And into grown folks.
Oh man. Well,
Ugh.
we're talking about two grown folkses in this episode, both of which are excellent.
Mhm.
This is the second best one of the two, but this
Definitely.
is awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, the clav sounds so good on this song.
Mhm. It's so good. It's really great. And I love when you hear them kind of like Larnell and Michael like talking to each other.
Yeah.
Michael starts doing these like riffs and they end on a higher note, which almost sounds like a question. Like
Mm.
he's playing these like bass lines that like kind of go up at the end. It's like, ends in an up note. It's really interesting. And it adds for like this really cool interplay between them.
Yeah, I could really like listen to Larnell and Michael go back and forth for like a really long time.
Yeah.
Larnell, the biggest thing I feel like about Larnell as a drummer with this band is during solos he is such an active participant. Um, he's such an active participant, whether it's like a What About Me solo, which we'll hear later on, or something like this, where he's just like augmenting Michael. It's like Bobby was doing for Zach and Kite. It's like, pushing Michael into new musical territory with what he's doing. And I can
Yes.
imagine the two of them like facing each other on stage during the solo, and Michael doing like his like faces,
Yeah,
getting really
yeah.
excited.
That's like what been something that like I didn't expect to kind of think about when I'm listening to this music. I listen to this a lot when I'm like walking to work or walking home, and I'll often like in my head just picture Michael like moving his body the way that he does, or like the way his face makes those like funny faces. It's really great.
And then, what's interesting about when the bass solo happens, usually there's the main open part of the solo, and then they kind of hit the vamp, and then there's the outro. So the vamp usually is just a continuation of the main solo, but when Michael takes it, usually someone else will take the vamp. And so Bullock takes it here. It's great. And then, Lanzetti takes it straight forward, right down the middle on the outro. A little rock and roll action.
Yeah, it's the best. Like the rock and roll feels, that's like my favorite thing that Lanzetti brings to this band is like sometimes he'll just like rip into it and all of a sudden you're like, we're at a rock show. It's not just a jazz concert or like
Right.
an orchestra feel. Like this is rock and roll. It adds just such a different dimension to their music. And it's like their music is so jazzy and intellectual sometimes that sometimes it's great to just like have like a tear it up guitar solo moment.
Yes, absolutely. And then we get into your fave,
Yeah, I love this
Gemini,
song.
next. You
Because I
go
am a
first on this one.
Gemini.
Of
Yeah, I
course.
just, you know, the middle section of this song is so incredible. Like the instruments sound like birds. It's like echoey. There's tons of reverb. You get like that distorted and really like melodic solo from Zach. It's just, there's so much emotion in it. I love the singing coming in over the end of the solo. This is gorgeous. And this is definitely one of my favorite Culture Vulture songs.
Yeah, this one's cool to me too because you have a lot of like spooky organ work from Bobby in that middle spacey eerie section. It's amazing, and again, like Bobby and Zach shining in every single song of this show. The two of
Yeah.
them are like, yeah, like someday there's going to be a podcast. But this is the first episode that we're talking about us, and we're gonna do really well. Um,
We're going to shine,
We're
baby.
gonna shine, yeah. And then Zach, rips the outro. Doesn't sound like a violin at first. You got to think about it. Like, what instrument is that? Because you got some
Oh.
effects on there, but it's really cool.
I like when this band gets weird.
Yes, I like when any band gets weird.
I know. It's so true. It's so true. But this band, it's like when you have this kind of talent and this many people on stage, when they can get quiet and weird, there's just something different about it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's truly, truly, truly awesome. I use similar adjectives all the time. I've realized when I'm
Well, we
talking
both
about
we both
this
say the
music.
word awesome a lot. It's okay.
It's an awesome word.
Yeah.
Then we get What About Me? Ye Old Faithful. One of my favorite songs, of course. Justin takes us on roads. And what's really interesting to me, comparing, especially with how Bill approached it in the last episode. But
Mm.
Justin generally, when he gets to What About Me, there's lots of synths happening. He hops back and forth between synths and roads a lot. This one is just straight roads. There's no synth involvement at all, which is really atypical for Justin. And it's not the only one on this tour where he does that. There are a couple of What About Me's where he just takes a straight Rhodes solo on this leg of the tour. So it's really cool. And also the way he approaches the solo, you hear him work in elements of the main What About Me riff while he's
Yeah.
soloing. And again, interplay with Larnell. My God.
So great. It's beautiful, super dramatic, and like so you can just hear them listening to each other so intently, which is just that's incredible. And I feel like when they kind of bring back the riff, there's like it's just such a cool moment because the volume like swells as the band comes back in, and then it has this like tension to it. And then Michael goes on to introduce the band, and it's really they're still, how like when bands do introductions, usually they're just playing something like kind of dumb underneath it. This
Yeah.
is actually like super interesting what they're playing underneath it. Like I was listening to it like, oh, that's awesome. Like it
Right. Like
has like
I should be paying attention to this.
yeah, like I know who these people are. I want to listen to that. Like it was they didn't want to let go of like whatever they had found, and
Yeah.
that's really neat. You don't hear that a lot.
Yeah. And then 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Excuse me. At the 6 minute and 10 second mark of this song, in Justin's solo, he plays a little riff. And anybody who's a nerd like us, mark this down in your notes. We're going to come back to this when we talk about the 9:15:19 What About Me in episode 10. When we talk about
Wow.
that song in episode 10, most of his solo and the riff that the band jams on that becomes really, really cool is that riff right there. And I think this isn't the only time where that riff pops up, but it's cool to note that will come back up again, and hopefully I remember in episode 10 to reference this in episode 6.
I think you will. I have faith.
Geekery.
Yeah.
Love
That's some
geekery.
real nerd stuff.
Yes. And then Larnell's drum solo here is like one of my favorites I've heard from him. It was like some classic rock, almost like Led Zeppelin feel at times in his solo. More of that disco vibe that we heard in the last episode. Larnell is just so good. So good.
I know. I mean, everybody who plays rhythm section in this band is just out of control.
That is true. That is very, very true.
They're totally out of control.
Everybody who plays in this band is out of control.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah. Well, then, from the What About Me, we get a sleeper set closer. This is like the third sleeper we've had, I think, and we still have not heard Sean do it on Talkbox. That will change in the next
Yeah.
episode. So excited for that. I'll tease the next episode at the end, but you're gonna love the next episode.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
excited. I mean, I love this sleeper. It's got such like a vibey intro and the
yeah,
drop into the beat and the monster sound that comes after is super satisfying and something that the band's doing so well right now that it really stood out to me when I saw them recently. Just they have this big monster sound and I love it.
yeah, and the way Bobby plays Sleeper, the Mini Moog has a little more bite than the Fatty does, or like the Prophet
Mhm.
that Justin uses.
Yeah.
And so Bobby also likes to play with the volume knob on it a little bit, so it kind of goes in and out, feels like pulsing while he plays the
Mhm.
leads to this song. So it's really cool. There's another one from this tour where he plays like in at the towards the end, he plays a solo Mini Moog version of the Star Spangled Banner.
No
That's
way.
unbelievable. Yeah, I'll send remind me. I'll send it to you after. It's
That's awesome.
really really cool. That was like the day that Trump backed out of the Paris Climate Accords or something.
No
And so
way.
yeah, and so he played that. Um, like ironically or whatever. But uh, Bobby doing Sleeper is excellent.
It's really
Excellent.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then in the encore, she's back.
Ugh.
Quartermaster.
Yes. So
Two whole
happy.
episodes without it. It's
It
too
felt too
long.
long. Too long. Best song. I listened to this on my way to work the other day and the sun was shining and it was just like a perfect mood setter. I was like, good morning. Like
Yeah.
today's going to be a good day. Like that's what
Yeah.
this quartermaster sounds like. Like it has such a groove. You can't help but just like strut to this song. You
Yeah.
know?
And the horn trading, finishing each
Mm,
other's musical sentences constantly. Like that's what the solo section is on this one. There's also
super
obviously
cool.
the ending horn stuff that always happens, but the middle section, the meat of this quartermaster, if you will, it's the horns just like playing off each other, having a good time, hanging out. Like I wonder how Michael calls that. It's just like all of you go, like
Exactly. You two talk to each other. Yeah, I mean, the listening and the communication between band members really stands out to me in this show. There's just a real dialogue happening on stage.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing. And then obviously as it increases, the rest of the band increases behind them. Again, Bobby sticking out on the clav and the organ in terms of comping. And there's some more cool interplay with him and Michael on the outro. So
Yeah, it has this like
pretty good
almost
quartermaster.
like New Orleans swing vibe to it. I can just
That's what the
picture
whole
them kind
song
of like,
is inspired by.
yeah. Really? Have we talked about that before? I did not know that. Yeah, I can just imagine them like playing this like up and down the aisles, and like I could just imagine Michael like getting down to this so hard. It's so dancey, and it just has that like swing vibe to it. And then the ending, it has almost like an Old Lang Syne vibe. It's like a little
Yes.
melancholy. And it's like almost at one point I was like, are they playing that? But it just is the perfect way to end a show,
Yeah.
I think.
It's the perfect way to happen anywhere in a show. And hi, Snarky Puppy. Please play that in Toronto.
Just play it. Yeah.
Play it. Play it. It's been too long. They haven't played it since 2019, crazy.
Whoa, that's so long. I think you've told me that, but I did not remember that. And that is
Yeah, if you think about it though, like they haven't
wow.
played a ton of shows since 2019, and I
Yeah,
think
that's
Quartermaster
true.
was only played 5 or 6 times in that whole year. They played
Yeah.
like 180 shows. So it's become a rarity, but throw a
Yeah.
Quartermaster our way.
Come on,
A
do
little
it for
like
us.
throw us a bone here. Give us a skate, like
You
yeah.
never know.
You
Maybe it'll
never
happen in
know.
Toronto.
You never. Oh, I would be very happy about that.
You would die.
I might jump through the ceiling. Anyway, that brings us to the close of this show. And of course, we do have a bonus track. This is one of my favorite puppy things ever. First time I
Yeah.
heard this, my jaw was absolutely on the damn floor. This is the June 4th, 2017 Grown Folks. This is, as Michael says, voted world's funkiest human unanimously by the American Electoral College. Give it up for Bobby Sparks on keyboards.
Oh my god, this riff of Grown Folks is one of my most favorite things that Snarky Puppy does. It's just a timeless riff. It's one of those riffs that sounds like it's been around forever. Like when you can write one of these riffs, you've done it. You've done something good. And this is just so in the pocket. Like it's incredible. His ability to play so swiftly and like I was saying before, like delicately, like he just dances across the keys. But then when he lays into it, good God, it's like, oh, it just hits so good.
Yeah, and again, the Larnell show. He starts into this like faster
Totally.
tempo than normal, which makes it funkier. And then as Bobby's solo progresses, he starts on brushes, and what he does as the solo starts going, he like flips the accent of the beat, like from the normal
That's
Grown Folks drum
amazing.
beat, and it's just like it's funkier, and it's like, oh my god, like this is so good.
It's so
So
good.
good.
And it has like a floating feeling. It's like a plastic bag in the wind. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like going wherever it goes, which is so incredible to do with like a giant band. Like, I don't know. This is an amazing version.
It really truly is. And yeah, and then the drop into the vamp.
Mm.
Bobby switching throughout the solo, doing the same thing he did in Go earlier with the clav and the organ. This time doing it with organ and then moving to Moog. It says in the show notes that the organ cuts out during his solo, which
Oh, no
thankfully
way.
can't really hear that happens during this. It just sounds like it's all part of the natural progression of his solo, and it's awesome. Bob once again straight down the middle, classic rock vibe on the outro. This is my favorite grown folks of all time, I think.
It's my favorite that I've heard. It definitely feels funkier than I remember this song being. It's
Let's learn now.
at one point in my notes just say, "This is insane. We're on a spaceship to Funktown." Like, it's just so funky. It's so
Yeah,
funky. And when Snarky Puppy is funky, it's my favorite thing. I mean, I like funk. I'm a 97 fish girl, but like this is a really good funk. I'm into it.
this is we got the funk.
Yeah.
Gotta have that funk. Speaking
Grown
of
folks.
we got the funk. Next week's episode, Megan, are you ready?
Yeah.
32-minute binky.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm
32
so
minutes,
excited. Okay.
20-ish of which is Sean leading a medley of various funk songs.
No, stop. Okay,
You
this
are
sounds
going
like
to
heaven.
be very, very happy when you listen to it.
You set that
Next
up all
next
for me,
episode,
Ryan.
that brings us to the close of this episode 6. Of course, we will be back in 2 weeks with episode 7, where we will be talking about December 20th, 2017, from Montevideo, Uruguay.
Hmm. I've got
Yes,
to brush up on
Montevideo.
my pronunciation of Uruguay places.
And also, yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't think the venue name. I don't think the venue name is super difficult.
Okay, good.
But we'll see how it goes.
I was gonna say
I'm pretty sure.
Uruguayan, but is that how, like, do you say
Okay, sorry.
Uruguayan?
The venue is La Trastienda, so it's easy.
Okay.
Um, it's
I want to go to
Uruguese
Uruguay.
actually. The
Uruguay's.
language is
Mm.
Uruguese. I'm just kidding. It's Spanish.
Well, I knew
Uruguese is
Spanish.
just a funny
I'm
sounding
talking about
word. I'm
like
sorry. I'm sorry to anyone from Uruguay who I just offended.
I'm sorry. It's okay. I would love to go to Uruguay too. I can't
Well,
believe
they were
that
just
they're
at this venue again like a
yeah.
week ago.
I can't believe they're in South America right now. How cool would that be to see Snarky Puppy in South America? Wow.
Yeah, they're playing in Mexico City tomorrow night to close out the tour.
Oh,
I believe tonight they're in Bogota, Colombia, or maybe that was last night.
oh my God. These guys are awesome.
Traveling the world, baby.
Yeah.
Traveling the world. Well, that has been episode 6. Of course, excited. I mean, I teased the Binky. I should tease some other stuff that's happening
Yeah, do it.
in the next episode. We've got a sleeper opener. A
Ooh.
sleeper
I like that.
opener.
I like that vibe.
Right? It'll
Hmm.
be interesting. We've got my favorite personal 3 keyboard combination of the band, which is Sean, Bill, and Justin making the debut there.
Mm.
So that's going to be fun. We've got 34 Klezma coming up, which is nice for me. I like a little Jewish music.
Yeah.
And just some all around great playing from the show. I love this South American tour, so it's gonna be awesome.
I'm
It's gonna be
excited.
awesome. I'm
I
excited
can't
too.
wait. I can't wait to talk to you about it, Ryan.
Me too. Well, between now and then, there's a lot that happens for us at least. We're both doing various other podcasts. I'm going to Denver this weekend for a week and a half to see various other shows. Um, Megan, where can people check you out over the next couple of weeks doing
Yeah.
various other things?
So I've got HF Pod every Friday. We're Friday at 4:00. We're doing our 40 for 40 look back on interesting or important to us shows from each of the years of Fish's 40 career. So this year we're talking about the year 2000. So we're getting to some interesting stuff, and it's been an amazing series. And then on June 5th, I have a new series that's launching called Blocking Outside, and it
Ooh.
is a goose miniseries from Three Fish Lifers. And one of our friends, Brian Weinstein from Attendance Bias, was goose curious. So Brian Brinkman and I decided to take him on a goose journey. And so we look at goose from the Peach in 2019 all the way up to today's spring tour, this year's spring tour. And we talk about what the band has come to mean to us. We have a sick playlist that we go through and we play for Brian. We hear his thoughts. We dive deep into the music. We talk about the band's history, their influences, and their journey. So I hope people check it out.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I look forward to checking that out as well. Of course,
Thanks.
for other Goose content that I do, Always Almost There will be back this weekend. They're playing some
Yes.
festivals. So depending on stream availability, we may or may not have recaps happening.
Okay.
But, there's
I
always
hope
content.
so.
I
I
hope so
hope it
too.
does. Yeah.
Because I was very sad to have to cancel the one last weekend at summer camp. But of course, there are also a bunch of new episodes of We Move Through Stormy Weather that are going to be coming out
Yay.
over the next couple of weeks. Little teaser for people who are listening to this podcast. This coming Monday, there will be a very special interview with Joel Cummins of Umphreys McGee that I did at summer camp last week.
Oh,
The
awesome.
first ever in-person episode of We Move Through Stormy Weather. Never
That's so
happened before.
fun. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's
So,
awesome.
really, really cool. After that, we've got Benji Eisen coming on, works
Nice.
very closely with Bill Kreutzmann. We're going to be talking about David Bowie in that episode.
Yes.
I know I have one other one in the can right now, but I'm blanking on what it is. Oh, yeah. And do you like Fish 2018? Do you like listening to people talk about it for 3 hours? Well, in 4 weeks, you will get that opportunity. Justin, Bruce, Brian Brinkman, and I dive into 2018 Fish.
Yes.
It's
I'm
a
sorry.
long episode. It's
But
excellent.
I just have to say the three of you are amazing to listen to talk about
Thank you.
fish. I will listen to that whole episode and I'll like every minute of it. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Things of Gold. Please let us know your favorite parts of this show or other favorite moments from this spring 2017 tour. If you've got them, tag us on social media
Send
at
them
Things of
our
Gold
way.
Pod. Give us the recs, your favorite moments, things that you thought we missed in this show, any sort of anything. Let us know. And
Hit
we'll
us
see
up.
you. We'll see you in Uruguay in 2 weeks. Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you next time.